Procrastination. Now that's a big topic. I want to talk about some of the keys that I've used in my life to tackle procrastination. You know, for half of my life, half of the stuff that I was doing, I was afflicted and held back. I was weighed down by this serious affliction called procrastination. And it's become like a cliche. So until I managed to get a hold of it, I was really not able to tap into my skills, my talents, my productivity, my job, my career, my business. I wasn't able to do the things that fully allowed me to expand and become, quote unquote, empowered, for lack of a better word. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I've got 3 steps. The first step that I believe that one needs to do in order to get a handle on procrastination is I think you need to redefine procrastination. Define what it is for you. Now, I don't know if this makes any sense for anybody, but it's what I did in my life. So procrastination, like I'd mentioned, is a bit of a cliche. In society, it's a joke. We just fluff it off and we kind of use it as an excuse. Oh, I'm just a procrastinator. Oh, he or she is just a procrastinator. That's just who I am. You know, we have really good intentions. We have these things we want to do. We set out a goal, a wish, a hope, a dream, an intention. We fail. Oh, I'm just a procrastinator. Well, it's bullshit. It's complete and utter nonsense because it's an excuse for laziness. So what you have to do is redefine what procrastination is. It's a very serious affliction. That's the way I look at it. It is literally the key to the doorway to success. Whatever success is in my life, whatever success is for you in your life. So you come to a path in the road and you can go down the path of mediocrity, less than, or you can go down the path of expansiveness, where you tap into the gifts that you have and the gifts that you bring to the world and your community and your family. And it's a heavy price to pay to say, well, I'm just a procrastinator. Therefore, I don't deserve these gifts. Therefore, I'm not going to tap into them. Now, here's the thing. The dark side of procrastination is fear-based. So for me, when I look at procrastination, all of the things I've just defined to you, on top of all that, at its very core fundamental, is this thing called fear. It is nothing more than fear. So an excuse equals fear. So that's my definition of procrastination. And it might sound a little intense, it might sound a little bit scary, but, you know, I've got a weak personality. At times, I can go down dark roads. Got an addictive personality. All these things I have to keep a handle on. So if I have to define procrastination as a very serious affliction, as something to become very aware of, then so be it. And I encourage you to do the same. Maybe you can take my cue and use some of the descriptions for procrastination. So that's step number 1. Define what procrastination is for you. This is not a joke. This is not something you just use as a slight excuse. Oh, I couldn't do it. I'm a procrastinator. You're giving up too much, and it's a lame-ass excuse, which is fear-based. All right, number 2. The second step in order to tackle procrastination is this. Very simple. Come up with a system, a schedule. So time management is one system. So for me to become productive and to avoid procrastination, I read a few books on time management. One of my favorite books on time management was by Dan Kennedy. It's the No Bull, No Nonsense. It's on Amazon. You can get it. I highly recommend it. And I read this book and a few others, and I love using a scheduler. I always have. I feel very fortunate in my early 20s. I got onto this idea of using a scheduler. And people who are artistic think it's scheduling time is anti-creative, but you're wrong. the more you schedule your time, the more you'll get things done, and the less of a procrastinator you will be. Let me give you an example from Dan Kennedy. He was asked many, many decades ago, how are you so productive? He says, well, I get up at 5 a.m. and I write for 3 hours. That's just my rule. No matter where I am, no matter what's going on in my life, no matter if I'm sick, I write. That's a system. That's a scheduled system. And you want to be, of course, sensible about this. You don't want to shoot for the moon if really what you're trying to do is learn to walk. So do something and apply a schedule or a system that makes sense for you. I apply this all the time. And, I use a calendar. And if I'm doing something on a regular basis that I need to have discipline towards, I'll put it in my calendar. So that's exercise. That includes some of the meditation programs that I'm doing, reading, journaling. So I have a rule. I get up in the morning, pour a coffee, and I read and journal a bit in my personal journal. And I read. I have a couple books on the go. So I avoid all other distractions. And then I turn on my computer and I'll start doing some of my marketing. No TV, nothing else. And so it's a system. You got to have a system in place. So think about that. What systems can you put in place? I've got a few ideas on this that I'm going to give you in a minute. But let me give you one more example before I step into that and talk about step 3. I do this Wim Hof technique. I've been doing it for 5 years. And since I started it, it's horrifying. It's cold showers and breathing exercises, which I enjoy. But the cold showers have always been horrifying. Mind you, it's getting easier now. But I have a rule that I created from day one. And this is a system to avoid procrastination. Here's how it works. So when I go into the bathroom, we have a little clock there, so I have to time my cold showers. And I turn it towards the shower so I can peek through the curtains and see how the time's doing. But my rule is this. I have a rule. I created this rule. As soon as I step in the shower, my right hand goes straight for the cold faucet. I spin it, pull the shower knob, and I get under. And I have a rule that there's no screaming, there's none of that. There's no overreacting, because that's not going to help. That's going to make it worse on me. I'm telling myself, this is horrifying. I know it's horrifying. I can feel it. So my rule is and has been that when I'm doing something like that, it sounds kind of simple, but you can apply this in 1,000,001 ways, in 1,000,001 activities in your life and my life. So it could be a small thing. It's like when I go here, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. I don't care how much pain there is. And you could apply that to exercising. You could apply that to homework. You could apply that to marketing your business or whatever it is you're doing. So that's step number 2. Have a system and a schedule in place. Number 3, have a commitment. Be committed. Be 100% committed to what it is you're trying to achieve. And, there's that famous saying, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Always ineffectiveness. It's a wonderful, wonderful saying. And in it holds the key to getting through procrastination, because it's telling me I have no choice but to finish this. There's always hesitancy, the chance to draw back. That's easy to do. But in my mind, I've made up my mind that I'm committed. I have no choice. Comes through workouts, showers, clearing debts, getting stuff done. So my rule is I follow the system that I described in step 2, and I work through because I'm committed. I'm 100% committed. Now, one step 2 that'll help you get through the commitment phase is when you have to pay money. Like, for example, you sign up for a program, and if you decided, I'm going to pay $100, $200, $300, that's going to help my commitment level. Now, when it comes to a program that's online or an information product that people buy, the reality is different, because most people sadly won't even get through step one when it comes to that. So I've created a rule decades ago. If I'm spending any kind of money on anything to do with education, I'm finishing it. I don't care what it is. That's my rule. I've paid money for this, and it's pretty obvious that the more you spend, the more committed I am, and it would apply to you, I'm sure, that you feel a high level of compliance. So paying into a system, buying into a program is pretty important. Another example might be getting over a fear, learning to speak in public. Now, I went through this 30 years ago when I joined Toastmasters. I was petrified. But I always wanted to become a proficient public speaker and not let my fears hold me back. So I joined Toastmasters, and you can join as a guest. Now, being a guest is fine, and you're showing up. That counts for a lot. And I showed up a couple of times, and I decided, well, I'm going to sign over and sign up for my membership. And it's not expensive. And all you got to do is show up. And it's a no-pressure situation. So you get yourself into a place like Toastmasters, there's no overbearing pressure that'll force you to back down, although it can happen to a lot of people. I've seen it happen. But for me, I knew that it was one of the best way to go when it came to tackling my fears of public speaking. And I joined Toastmasters with that in mind, and I got through it. And I just kept showing up, even though I was scared to death. And when the time was right, I got up and did my first speech, and I was scared to death. And I was so scared, so nervous, I said, I'm getting out of here in a year. I'm going to finish my program, and I'm done, because this is petrifying. And after a year, I said, I was only halfway through, but I was starting to enjoy it. And it took me 2 years to finish the core program, and I stuck around for 11 more years, and I quit for a bit. And I'm back. I've been back the last 5 years, and it's something I do. I enjoy helping others. So my level of public speaking proficiency is night and day. And fears can hold you back. And I think back to when I was younger, in my 20s, my teenage years, and how fear used to be such a component that literally half of what I was capable of doing, I was not doing. So when you come to that fork in the road, you have a decision to make. Do I want to use the excuse of, I'm just going to put it off till tomorrow, I'm going to procrastinate? Or do you want to face the fear, face the dragon on the road, so to speak, and draw your sword and face the fear and tackle it for you? This is really for no one else. When we default to the cliche of I'm put it off till tomorrow, we think it makes logical sense, and we're not doing society a favor, but we're especially not doing ourselves a favor. That's the big loss right there. So it's well worth following these steps or creating your own version of the same 3 steps. Define what procrastination is for you, create a system, a schedule, and be 100% committed. All right, thanks.